There's a reason most men never truly understand women. They chase what she shows, not what she hides. But a Machiavellian mind looks deeper. It doesn't ask, how do I win her heart? It asks, where is her weakness? Because every woman, no matter how confident, has one. A hidden pressure point. A place where desire and fear overlap. And the man who can see it never has to chase again. Today, you'll learn 10 dark psychological hacks to decode those weaknesses. The fears, the patterns, the instincts that shape every interaction. Once you understand them, attraction stops being chaos and starts becoming predictable. If you're truly ready to change your life, write in the comments, "I'm ready to change." Because once you make that decision, everything shifts. Here's the first hack to know and take advantage of. Every woman's behavior revolves around where she feels in control and where she doesn't. Therefore, you must absolutely learn to see where that control comes from, because that's where her weakness hides. Some women build their strength from within. They believe their power comes from their achievements, discipline, and intelligence. They are proud of their independence, the "I don't need anyone" type. Others build their strength from the outside world. They depend on attention, admiration, and validation to feel complete. Every compliment, every like, every text reply. It's a small hit of security that keeps their self-image alive. And this difference changes everything. Because when you can tell which type she is, you know exactly how to move. Imagine a woman who constantly checks her phone, posting pictures, fishing for reassurance. She doesn't crave love. She craves visibility. Her power source is external. Her greatest fear? Being ignored. So when every man floods her with attention, you must do the opposite. You pull back slightly. You let silence become your weapon. And watch what happens. She starts working for your attention instead. Because you just interrupted the stream of validation she depends on to feel secure. Her fear of invisibility makes her move closer, unconsciously chasing the calm you represent. Now picture another woman, focused, organized, successful. She doesn't rely on others to feel good. She controls her world with precision. But her weakness lies exactly there, in her obsession with mastery. She fears failure, unpredictability, and emotional loss of control. So your strategy must shift. Don't withdraw from her. Challenge her stability. Question her routines. Test her discipline gently. Make her prove herself. Not through arrogance, but through subtle pressure. Like a chess player forcing her to reveal her hand. You might say, "You're very composed, but do you ever let go of control?" That single question creates tension. It makes her self-image tremble for a second. And in that crack, emotion appears. The very thing she's worked so hard to suppress. Because here's the truth. The woman who depends on validation fears absence. The woman who depends on control fears exposure. Different faces, same core. Fear of losing the illusion of power. Machiavelli would have warned you, every fortress has a door. You only need to find where she guards it most. Your job is not to break it down with force. It's to stand at that door calmly until she opens it herself. When you understand the source of her control, you stop reacting to her surface behavior. You see through it. You stop chasing moods, overthinking texts, or guessing feelings. You begin to predict, not because you're manipulative, but because you finally understand the pattern. And once you can see the pattern, you can break it at will. That's the moment you move from playing her game to designing it. Here's the second hack to know and take advantage of. Every woman's behavior toward men is shaped by the first man she ever knew, her father. Therefore, you must absolutely learn to read the shadow he left behind, because that story still decides how she tests you, trusts you, and loves you. Most men try to understand a woman in the present, by her words, her body language, her moods. But a Machiavellian mind knows the real blueprint lies in her past. Every girl learns early what power feels like, what love costs, and what safety means. And whoever taught her that, through affection or through absence, became her first teacher. If her father was weak, inconsistent, or absent, she carries that chaos like a scar. She grew up wondering, can I rely on anyone? Will someone stay this time? So she tests. She provokes, withdraws, breaks small boundaries, not to destroy, but to measure. When she feels attraction, her subconscious asks, will he stay if I shake him? And here's where most men fail. They collapse under pressure. They argue, chase, apologize too fast. In that moment, she relives the same disappointment. Another man who can't stay grounded when things get stormy. But if you remain calm, stable, unreactive, something shifts inside her. You become the first man who doesn't flinch when she throws fire. And for a woman like that, calmness is not just attractive, it's healing. Now imagine the opposite story. Her father was strong, but too strong. Critical, dominant, impossible to please. That kind of woman often swings between craving tenderness and repeating the same chaos she grew up with. She might say she wants peace, yet gravitates toward conflict. Because pain, when it's familiar, feels like home. That's why she'll sometimes start fights out of nowhere. She's not evil. She's recreating the pattern she knows best. Your strategy here isn't to avoid conflict or drown her in softness. It's to break the pattern entirely. You respond to fire not with fire, but with gravity. When she expects dominance, you give understanding. When she expects control, you give composure. When she expects to win, you stay unmoved. That's when confusion begins, and confusion opens space for transformation. Machiavelli would have whispered, to rule a territory, you must first learn its history. Only then can you predict its revolts. A woman's emotional landscape works the same way. Once you know who taught her love, trust, and fear, you can see where the cracks run beneath the surface. Because every test she gives you is not about you. It's about whether her past can finally rest. The man who understands this doesn't take things personally. He reads them strategically. And here's what you must retain. You cannot heal her, but you can reveal her pattern. Once you see it, her actions stop confusing you. You stop reacting, start leading, and her trust begins to anchor itself in your steadiness. At that point, you're no longer competing with other men. You're competing with her memories. And when you win that silent war, you don't just hold her attention, you hold her respect. Here's the third hack to know and take advantage of. A woman's dreams are rarely just desires. They are disguises for her deepest fears. Therefore, you must absolutely listen to how she talks about her future. Because every word about what she wants secretly exposes what she's afraid to lose. Most men hear her ambitions and think they're just goals, but a strategist listens differently. He knows the future is not a wish list. It's a mirror of anxiety. The more passionately someone speaks about what they want, the more they fear the opposite. Imagine a woman who can't stop talking about her career, her big projects, her future success. She seems confident, ambitious, unstoppable. But look closer. Behind that drive, there's often terror, the fear of failure, of being seen as ordinary, of never living up to her own image. So she works harder than anyone, not out of hunger, but out of panic. The average man will admire her hustle and drown her in praise, but that only feeds her anxiety. Your advantage lies in calm detachment. You don't overpraise. You observe, you challenge. You say, that's impressive. But do you ever feel like success can also become a trap? Now she pauses, because you've just touched the hidden wire beneath her ambition. You didn't judge her, you understood her. Now picture another type. She speaks constantly of stability, a cozy home, a peaceful life, safety. Most men think that's just a nurturing instinct. But beneath that image often hides the fear of abandonment or chaos. She craves peace because she has lived through storms. She doesn't want love, she wants protection. And if you rush in trying to give it too easily, she won't trust it. Because real safety can't be handed to her. It must be proven through composure. So you become the stillness she never found. You don't promise security, you embody it. Then there's the free spirit, the woman who lives for travel, freedom, endless novelty. It sounds exciting, but Machiavelli would have smiled here. Because what looks like independence is often a fear of stillness. She runs because silence makes her face herself. Your move isn't to chase her or match her energy. It's to stay grounded while letting her orbit around you. When she realizes you are the only fixed point in her restless world, desire turns into respect. Machiavelli would have warned, men are driven less by what they desire than by what they dread to lose. It's the same with women. Behind her ambitions, her peace, or her freedom, there's always a fear pulling the strings. Here's what you must retain. Don't just listen to her goals. Decode her defenses. Don't compliment the dream. Understand the fear that built it. Because when you do, you stop speaking to her surface identity and start speaking to the person underneath it. And that kind of connection, silent, precise, psychological, is impossible to replace. At that moment, she no longer sees you as just a man. She sees you as someone who reads the invisible. And in her mind, that's the rarest power of all. Here's the fourth hack to know and take advantage of. Every woman craves a specific type of attention, and the one who controls its supply controls her focus. Therefore, you must absolutely learn what kind of validation she values most, because her craving points directly to her weakness. Some women want comfort. They feed on reassurance and softness. They want to feel protected, not challenged. Others crave admiration. They live for the gaze, for the likes, for the spotlight that says, "You're special." And some hunger for recognition of their mind. They want to be seen as sharp, respected, difficult to impress. Here's the secret. What she seeks most is what she lacks the most. If you give it too easily, you lose your leverage. But if you become the rare source of what she values, you become irreplaceable. If she lives for compliments on her looks, don't feed that addiction. Let silence speak instead. Give her curiosity, not worship. Soon she'll start chasing the approval you withhold. If she's the intellectual, don't flatter her intelligence. Challenge it. Question her reasoning. Make her sharpen her words around you. In that friction, attraction grows. If she seeks comfort, don't just soothe her. Remind her of her own strength. Show her that your presence brings stability, not dependence. Machiavelli would have said, "Power lies not in giving what people want, but in controlling when they receive it." When you master this, you stop being another man offering validation. You become the standard she now measures all others against. That's how you shift from chasing her attention to owning it. Here's the fifth hack to know and take advantage of. A woman will always test your composure to see what kind of man you truly are. Therefore, you must absolutely master the art of calmness, because the moment you lose control, you lose her respect. Every man faces this trial at some point. She gets distant without warning. She starts small arguments over nothing. She reacts emotionally to something trivial, and most men fall right into the trap. They defend, explain, panic, or chase. They try to fix the situation instead of controlling the frame. But this is not about the argument. It's about you. She's unconsciously asking, "Can he stay composed when I bring the storm?" Because chaos is where leadership reveals itself. Your only move is stillness. You don't mirror her emotion. You don't justify or over-explain. You stay grounded, watching the storm pass like a strategist studying the battlefield. A calm tone, a slow breath, a measured question. That's how you win. Try saying, "Is this really the issue? Or is something deeper bothering you?" It cuts through the noise and puts the weight back on her words. Machiavelli would have whispered, "He who can stay still when others panic, commands without speaking." This is the essence of masculine gravity. You are not fighting her emotions. You are anchoring them. And here's what you must retain. Her emotions are temporary. Your reaction defines permanence. Stay calm, and she feels safe. Lose your center, and she sees weakness. The man who keeps his composure when everything shakes around him is the man every woman instinctively trusts and never forgets. Here's the sixth hack to know and take advantage of. Every woman carries a private burden, a sacrifice she made that still shapes her emotions. Therefore, you must absolutely learn to sense that hidden weight, because when you see what others ignore, you access the part of her no one else can reach. Every strong woman you meet has paid a price for that strength. Maybe she gave up a dream for someone she loved. Maybe she endured rejection, betrayal, or years of pressure that no one ever acknowledged. On the surface, she's calm, confident, composed, but underneath, there's a story that still aches quietly. You'll catch small clues if you pay attention. She'll say, "I used to love painting, but I stopped when things got busy." Or, "I almost moved abroad once, but it wasn't the right time." To most men, these sound like casual comments. To you, they're windows into her unhealed chapters. The move is not to exploit that pain, it's to honor it. You say something like, "It takes strength to give something up for stability." Most people wouldn't have that kind of courage. Now she feels seen, not pitied, respected. That single line can hit deeper than 100 compliments. Because you're not feeding her ego, you're validating her humanity. Machiavelli would have said, "He who can name another's burden without pity holds quiet power over their heart." When you do this right, you become the first man who sees behind her armor, and instead of trying to fix her, you simply understand her. And here's what you must retain. What she hides the most is what she wants to be recognized for the most. The world praises her surface. You acknowledge her sacrifice. And that difference changes everything. At that moment, you stop being a man she flirts with. You become the one she trusts with her truth. Here's the seventh hack to know and take advantage of. Every woman has one invisible line, a boundary that guards her most fragile truth. Therefore, you must absolutely learn to recognize where that line lies and respect it, because restraint creates more power than intrusion ever could. You'll notice it in small moments. Her tone shifts, her eyes pull away, her energy tightens, all without a word. She'll change the subject when something personal comes up, make a joke to deflect, or grow defensive out of nowhere. That's the line. It protects something deeper, a memory, a betrayal, a version of herself she hasn't faced yet. Most men make one of two mistakes. They push too hard, trying to break the wall, or they retreat instantly, afraid of rejection. Both show weakness. One lacks empathy, the other lacks strength. The Machiavellian move is balance. You neither attack the fortress nor abandon it. You acknowledge it with quiet understanding. Say something like, "I can sense that's not something we should touch right now, and that's okay." You show her that you see without forcing her to reveal. That single act does three things at once. It proves you're emotionally intelligent. It shows you don't need to know everything to stay in control. And it makes her curious. Why didn't you push? Why are you so composed? That curiosity becomes fascination. Because you're no longer another man trying to get in. You're the one she'll eventually invite in. Machiavelli would have smiled and said, "A wise ruler does not storm every gate. He waits for the guard to open it willingly." And here's what you must retain. When you respect a woman's deepest boundary, you don't lose power. You multiply it. Because in her mind, restraint equals mastery. She will never forget the man who saw the line. and chose to stay calm at its edge. Here's the 8th hack to know and take advantage of. A woman's criticisms reveal far more about her than her compliments ever will. Therefore, you must absolutely pay attention to what she mocks, rejects, or condemns, because behind every judgment lies an unhealed insecurity. Most men listen for praise, but Machiavellian men listen for disdain. When she speaks negatively about others, she's unconsciously describing what she fears within herself. If she constantly mocks unreliable people, she's not just talking about them. She's revealing her fear of chaos. She needs order, structure, consistency, because unpredictability once hurt her. If she ridicules people without ambition, her words aren't about laziness, they're about regret. She's projecting her fear of wasted potential, of not becoming who she imagined she'd be. And if she sneers at arrogance or pride, she may be at war with her own ego, afraid to admit that confidence still intimidates her. Your strategy is simple but rare. Don't argue, don't mirror, don't judge. Just note it, and quietly become the opposite. If she fears instability, you embody calm reliability. If she resents arrogance, you stay self-assured but grounded. If she hates laziness, you live with direction and discipline. You don't tell her, you show her. The moment she realizes you are the living opposite of what she despises, her respect transforms into desire, because people are magnetized not to their mirror, but to their missing piece. Machiavelli would have said, "He who understands another's contempt understands their heart." It's the law of reflection. The things we criticize most are the ones that secretly dominate our thoughts. And here's what you must retain. Her insults are not noise, they're signals. Her mockery is not arrogance, it's fear disguised as confidence. Once you see that, her words stop hurting and start guiding you. Because the man who reads between her criticisms doesn't just understand her. He owns the emotional map she didn't know she was giving him. Here's the 9th hack to know and take advantage of. Every woman lives inside patterns, emotional routines that make her feel safe, but also quietly bored. Therefore, you must absolutely learn how to disrupt her predictability without breaking her sense of safety. That's how you make her feel alive again and addicted to your presence. Most women live in rhythm. They wake, work, reply, scroll, repeat. Their conversations feel rehearsed, their emotions recycled, their dating experiences identical. Then one day, a man enters who doesn't follow the script, and everything changes. You're that man. You don't talk about the same empty topics. You don't rush to impress. Instead, you introduce contrast, a calm unpredictability. When everyone else tries to please her, you intrigue her. When everyone tries to comfort her, you awaken her. Picture this. You're sitting with her in a cafe. She expects surface-level small talk. But you ask, when was the last time you did something that scared you, but made you feel alive? She laughs at first, then pauses. Her eyes shift. That moment of surprise? That's emotional ignition. You've stepped out of her routine and brought her into yours. Machiavelli would say, "He who cannot create movement becomes ruled by stillness." In modern terms, if you want to be remembered, you must break the pattern of how she feels around every other man. But here's the subtle art. It's not about chaos. It's not about shocking her or pretending to be mysterious. It's about calculated disruption. You show depth where she expects shallowness, patience where she expects pressure, silence where she expects need. That combination hits her nervous system like contrast therapy: heat and cold, stability and tension, safety and curiosity. It's that mix that awakens her primal interest. And here's what you must retain. Comfort doesn't create connection, contrast does. She doesn't fall for who makes her feel safe all the time. She bonds with who makes her feel something new. Once you break her pattern once, her mind starts chasing that feeling again. Not you, the emotion you trigger. And that's when she's hooked. Because to her, you're no longer just a man. You're the unpredictable rhythm that makes her world feel alive again. Here's the 10th and final hack to know and take advantage of. The more present you are, the more she gets used to you. But the moment you disappear with purpose, she starts to feel your weight. Therefore, you must absolutely master strategic absence, not as a game but as a declaration of self-worth. Most men think proximity builds value. They believe the closer they stay, the more they'll be loved. But Machiavelli would have whispered the opposite. What is constant loses its value. What is scarce becomes divine. Even the sun, if it never set, would stop being admired. So you must learn to pull away not out of anger, but out of intention. Your distance should feel like discipline, a man choosing his path, not a boy seeking attention. When you step back, don't announce it. Don't threaten it. Just live your mission. Work on your craft, your body, your empire. Let silence do the talking. In that silence, something powerful happens. She starts to feel the absence of the feeling you created. Not just your body, but your energy, the steadiness you brought, the mystery you carried, the spark you triggered. Your absence becomes a mirror where she confronts her own dependence. That's when she begins to wonder, where did he go? Why does it feel different without him? Was he always this rare? Or did I just never see it? That's the paradox of presence. When used sparingly, it becomes a privilege. And when a woman starts to see your attention as a privilege, your power is complete. But don't confuse this with manipulation. Distance only has power when it's backed by substance, purpose, direction, growth. If you vanish to play games, she'll sense it. If you vanish to evolve, she'll feel it. And here's what you must retain. Your absence must speak louder than your presence ever did. Because in that void, she won't just remember you, she'll start to need what you represented. Machiavelli would have said, "Withdraw not to flee, but to force the world to come closer." That is the art of strategic distance. When you walk away, you don't lose power, you amplify it. You now understand what truly moves women. Not noise, but presence. Not effort, but strategy. So from this point on, every word you speak and every silence you choose has weight. You're not just part of the game anymore. You're the one quietly rewriting its rules. If this opened your eyes and you're serious about becoming the man who's in full control of his life, my book is now available. The Undeniable Man, Built to be Chosen. It's a strategic guide for men who want to attract, lead, and dominate in their love life and beyond. Whether you're single or in a relationship, no fluff, no tricks, just pure, powerful strategy that will set you apart from 99% of men, and that you will actually use every day. The link is in the description. And if this video spoke to you, don't just keep your thoughts in your head. Write a comment, even just a few words. It helps you remember these lessons, and it might help someone else too. Hit the like button if you enjoyed this content, and share it with someone who, in your eyes, needs it right now. Just trust your instinct. We're all trying to get clearer, more solid inside. So let's build minds that don't break.